Well, what if a few of those were your high school coach chiming in? Wow, what a great job today. Keep it up, superstar. I just thought it was such a amazing tool. And for those kids who are never going to get to be tagged in, oh, look at this interview with Lane Thomann, or look at this podcast I was tagged in. Well, guess what? Now they just got tagged in their first social media post.
This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission, help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle. So many years ago, late 80s, I was playing Little League baseball. I can still remember going on to my first Little League practice, and I might have worn the games too. I just wore jeans, and I might have worn work boots. Like, that's just what we had. And you know what? And we also played and hit with the same bat. Like, everybody hit with the same bat. And when I say everybody, I mean both teams. Like, it was a Little League bat. Like, if you were last person out for your team, you just left the bat at the batter's box because you knew the other team was using it too. And I think the league had more bats, but pretty sure they only bought one a year. And of course, you got to use the new one. So everybody used that one. And you know what? By the end of the year, the bat was looking pretty beat up, had a lot of hits in it. And I find that funny because if you go to I don't even know if it's a Little League anymore. Most of it's travel, stuff like that. But you go to a youth baseball game right now, and kids are showing up. Like, most kids that I see, they've got the bag that even holds two bats. So they're walking around with a bat on each side. I don't know. I really don't understand how you need both. I don't know, different situations, maybe. I don't know. But I know that you can look down a dugout and you got 12 kids in there, and each of them's got, $1,000 worth of bat, and you've got $12,000 worth of bats in there, and the team's got 2 hits on the day. It doesn't seem like a good ROI, but I'm not here to just complain about that. But it's certainly noticeable, and it's very noticeable that kids and youth athletics have changed, and it's been a gradual thing. It started, I coached my son, of course, through some youth baseball, youth basketball, football, stuff like that. And I noticed it was different than when I was doing it, but then, my son's in college now. So, now that I'm looking back and working with some younger athletes, I can notice it even more. And it's really grown even more as the amount of gear, youth athletics is big business. Driving through the Mattoon, Illinois area, they're building an entire new complex just for like youth athletics, and it's like a big business. They're trying to boom the town by just building a youth athletics complex, and hopefully it'll bring enough people in to bring money into the town. I mean, it is a big thing, and it's we can say it's good or bad, but we're on the heels of the college football playoffs, right? That we just finished up, and my wife and I watched most of it. Most people I know were watching it, and we really enjoyed it. And we can't, college football, and we watch college basketball too, and college baseball is fantastic, and all the college sports are fantastic, but those things aren't at the high level they are without the youth athletics that we have right now. Like, you realize that that's like, if you're watching college football right now or college basketball, but then you're also complaining about the way youth sports are now, Like, it's a direct correlation. Like, that's how these kids get so good at these sports, and it's amazing what the kids can do now. But it definitely comes with some pressures, comes with some problems, not the least of which is parents having to spend thousands of dollars on gear, but they do. But it puts pressure on the kids. It's why I have a job in the field that I have now, is because kids feel a lot more pressure playing a game than they used to. There's more social media presence. We don't have the papers now, but social media has much more reach and more ease of posting things than it is just, the daily paper that might once in a while show something. But it's a big deal all the way down to the youth. And we're talking about, we were talking about college sports, but high school sports are a big deal too. Like, I was down in Tennessee, lived down there for a little while, and the college or the high school football games there just packed on Friday nights. It's even more in other parts of the country. You head down to Texas, and then now that I'm back in Illinois, it's all about the basketball. But football is still fun here and enjoyable, but it's a Friday night basketball game, between two okay teams, is still going to have a huge crowd. And it's part of what it is. It'll be it's amazing how much time, effort, money we put into these youth athletics, and we just really enjoy them. And you just can't have it both ways. You can't complain about it. You can wish it was the way it used to be, I guess, but that doesn't really do much good, does it? And it's been a gradual change, a slow change from, me the entire league using a bat to what it is now. But some of that change has happened really fast. For me, I'm wearing this sweatshirt today, my Deer Creek Mackinac 2016 state champs, because that's a great example. At the time, I was teaching at the school, and I was the public address announcer for the football team, and loved that job, just fantastic. But so I was calling games for the 2016 state champs, and we played on a field that I don't even know if it had an official name, but we certainly called it the Concrete Jungle. We called it the Concrete Jungle because it felt like concrete. Like, it was not a fun place for people to play. The opposing team hated to come and play. If it froze, forget it. It was just solid. The light poles were way too close to the out of bounds. It was dangerous. My press box was real close to the field, as in I can remember multiple times players running out of bounds, getting shoved, getting pushed, or the whole pile even running over and hitting the press box, and you'd hear helmets. My press box would shake from football players hitting it. And I'm like, that can't be okay. That is not safe. But it was a great field. We loved it. We, like I said, we won a state championship from there. But then in 2018, passed a referendum, got the funds, $5+ million, whatever. And we went from that overnight to Jim McDonald Field, which is it was just state of the art, and it looks like a small college facility. 8-lane track, turf field, great stereo system, which I love to play with whenever I was doing the PA announcing. And now they got a video board out there, and it just overnight it went just huge. And a lot of schools get those upgrades, and it can seem amazing that we're doing these things for high school sports, but it's also kind of cool. And then once the football field got the upgrade, well, then the baseball field didn't look, it looked a little behind. So we started to upgrade that. Mitch Holmgren, the AD at the time, noticed that, and he did such a great job of bringing that field online, Jim McDonald Field. But then he helped Tony Riddle, who was the head coach for baseball at the time, and now he's at Metamora, and they did a phenomenal job of upgrading the baseball field, and our facility there, it just looks fantastic. But one of the things that I noticed with those two guys, and that trend kind of continued, was that they were all fine with upgrading the facilities, but it never felt like something that an entitlement, and it was always something that needed to be a source of pride, and they leveraged that source of pride with all the athletes.
and making sure that they understood that this was a great facility, making sure that they were invested in taking care of it, and very grateful for it. And I think that that's a great way to leverage some of this growth. Is you have to help kids understand how grateful they should be for these facilities, these things, help them take care of it, feel prideful for it. And that can really help those things. And we're going to have my guest today, Cody Myers. He's the head coach at Deer Creek Mackinac, which is why I'm talking about some of this stuff. He came in and we had this facility, but then he noticed there were other areas that needed upgrading. And he has continued that growth to the point that I'm just amazed when I go back there to see this place. It's fantastic. It's just for a 2A school with 300 kids. It is absolutely phenomenal. But everybody there continues to do just a fantastic job of making sure that it is something that helps to the mentality of all the athletes, that they should be something that they're proud of and taking care of it and feeling grateful for it. And I think they're just doing a fantastic job of that. And grateful for it is really important. That fits into with what I'm talking about right now with my monthly Mettle Challenge. If you didn't see my episode a couple weeks ago, go back and check it. I'm doing a monthly challenge where I try a new mental health tactic, mindfulness, wellness tactic. And for January, I started with gratitude. Because I believe that gratitude is something we have to practice in order to get better at anything. And if you can practice gratitude, you can, start the path down to other things of getting better. And personally, I'm doing a lot of journaling and writing 3 good things every night that I'm thankful for. I'm doing some gratitude letters, visiting some people in my past and talking to them about things to be grateful for. And if you didn't check out that episode, I suggest you go back and listen to it. It's really cool. Some stuff I'm doing. And if you're jumping in late, that's fine. You can still practice gratitude. Doesn't have to be because January's about over. It's just good stuff. And I think that I was trying to find a way to connect my guest today with that. And I think that's it. It's just that having these great facilities and having this gear, it's not something that we want kids to be entitled for, but something that they're prideful in and grateful for. And I think that when we can do that, you can advance our individuals, our teams, our school. And I think it's really good stuff. I'm excited about the interview here coming up, and also remember that it's also important to keep these kids involved, because since COVID especially, they have other options. Or at least COVID helped them realize they had other options, right? Like, and I'm saying that like it's a good thing or a bad thing, but kids don't have to come play your sport anymore. And you're seeing a lot of football programs, especially, that are struggling to field a team. And those of us that are sports oriented and love sports, we know that we like sports for that reason, because we know kids learn different skills. They learn adversity. They learn grit. They learn how to deal with things. And without sports, they're going to miss some of that. And so it's part of our job is we got to keep it somewhere they want to be. And that's not all a facilities thing. There's, you have the way you treat people is certainly probably a bigger deal. But if you're upgrading facilities and making it something they're proud of and like to be there, and a place they like to see, and, see their names up on walls and making, progress and hitting these PRs that Cody's going to talk about, it makes it somewhere they want to be, something they want to be a part of. So I think that's the main goal here for this interview, is we're going to keep talking about making kids a part of something, making it something that they can be proud of, and continuing to grow, the entire facility, the entire program, the entire school. All those things is something that Cody's passionate about and he's really good at. So enjoy this interview with Cody Myers. I'll see you on the other side.
What could you achieve if you had unshakable confidence? At Mental Mettle Coaching, I work with athletes, coaches, and professionals who are up for a challenge and ready to unlock their full potential. We offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, inspire your team, or thrive in your career, we'll give you the tools to face adversity head on and grow through every challenge. Don't wait to start living your life with confidence. Check the show notes for my contact information, and let's forge your mettle together.
Mettle is a person's ability to face adversity in a spirited and resilient manner. It is a great skill to have for athletics and for life, but it is not something we are born with. If you want it, you have to forge your mettle. And if you listen to the Mental Mettle Podcast, you already know that, but not everybody else does yet. So help me out by ordering and wearing some sweet The Mental Mettle Podcast gear. We've got short sleeve tees, long sleeve tees, and some super comfortable hoodies. Order online today and you can have your gear in no time. But the best part is that every order helps support the show and helps me spread the message that mental toughness is a trait that can and should be built. So find the link in the show notes, order your gear, and start showing that you know how to forge your mettle.
And welcome back to the Mental Mettle Podcast. It's your host here, Coach Matt Thomann, and I'm here with my good friend. Now been a few years we've known each other, Coach Cody Myers. Cody is the head football coach for Deer Creek Mackinac Chiefs, and also the strength and conditioning coach. And how many years has it been now, Coach?
Well, I got hired during COVID, so it feels like probably double the time, but it's been 5 years.
That's fair. Was it what? It was a little before COVID when you got hired, right?
I did, yeah. I think I got hired at the end of February, and then I got to meet the team, and then another month later, oh boy, it was turned upside down.
Is that really the timeline? Like you got hired in February, and then on March 13th, we sent everybody home for what, 6-8 months?
Yeah, and it was weird how we had it worked out. We actually were going to do the board meeting at the end of March, and I talked to the administration. I said, you know, I in my personal opinion, now that we know I accepted the job, we're trying to prevent maybe this leaking to the media. I also think it would be fair if we could just get this done so I could let my current program know, because you always want to leave something better than you found it. Let them kind of know where we stand. So we actually moved the timeline up about 3 weeks, and that was the week or two right before it got shut down. So it gave them time to at least get going.
Yeah, well, oh man, yeah, they had a lot to fill up. And you came from Canton, right?
Yeah, I was the head coach in Canton for 3 years. So
yeah, and I think that's an interesting story. And I apologize for getting that timeline, but everything, like you said, everything was just such a blur. And especially for me, all the health issues, so it's hard for me to remember everything that happened in the order that it happened. But I think that I can remember some people, and you can probably speak to this more than I can remember, that, I mean, Canton is a lot bigger school. Like, it feels like, I mean, you're talking about a bigger conference, bigger, I don't know. And you come down a level, not because you were, struggling at Canton necessarily.
Correct.
Absolutely. Tell me about that decision.
All right. So, the entire thing's interesting. So if we backtrack a little bit, 2014-15, my wife now, my current wife, Dana now, when we were just dating, she gets a job in Peoria, and she's driving 45 minutes a day. And then as my career starts to grow in Canton as a defensive coordinator, I worked under Ryan Pearson. He's the head coach at Princeton High School in Illinois now. They're a 3A powerhouse. They've been to the semifinals a couple times, and he's won, I think, 3 out of 4 conference championships. So I learned a lot from him. He took Canton to the Final Four. I was part of that, and I was fortunate enough to take over right after he left. Had a couple choices there, right? I could follow him and try to continue on that path, or maybe it was my time. I felt at 27 years old, okay, I've just gotten married, got this great opportunity, and I've been part of this program for a few years, and we just coming off the best season in school history per se with the semifinals, right? Maybe not the best players, best team, but man, that town was excited, and I just loved it, right? When you're part of something, you help build it, you just get so amped for it. And to take over and be part of that for 3 seasons. And we had some success. I had 3 kids go play Division I and a couple Division III players off my last team that were seniors. One kid starting at Illinois State. He's not a kid anymore. Michael Barnhart starts at Illinois State. And then I had another nose guard. He starts at Northern Illinois. And he's Jacob Waskow. He's a great player. My quarterback went on to play at Western Illinois University, played a year there before he decided that wasn't for him. So, I got to be around some talent and just learn kind of the recruiting processes through those kids. And you just can't say enough about the Mid-Illini Conference in Central Illinois. There's just a lot of really good football players that have come out of there. JJ Gaudet is another one. He's from Washington. He starts at Illinois State. I know he's been on your podcast. Just a great dude and a really hard worker. So it was great to be in that conference and see that all unfold. But, I got a phone call from another coaching buddy, and he said, I hate to tell you this, but there's a job that just came open, and I think you need to apply for it. I think you'd be great. You're just going to love it there. The things that I know about that place, I feel like you'd fit in. And I got home and I remember walking in and my wife was like, huh? Why would we ever leave? And, that's when you start to doubt yourself. You're like, I don't know why, it wasn't the response I thought. I thought maybe I'd get like a 50-50. Yeah, we'll see. We could always say no. And as time progressed, the chips fell where they did, and it couldn't have worked out better. We've made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. I've had just so many opportunities to grow and network through the small schools. I'm from a small school. I went to VIT High School. Has less than 100 students in Central Illinois. So just to be part of that, and then I got to meet your son Lane. I got to know your family. Our family got to know so many different people, and to be really honest, the tradition and culture of Deer Creek Mackinac football is something that I don't think most people would understand. But, if you close your eyes and you picture some of these movie scenes, those are some of the things that they've got to see. They got to see a state championship in the last few years. And that was before I got there. And they've got multiple conference championships. I think they've been to the playoffs, or we've been to the playoffs 31 times in the history of the school. So a lot of rich tradition in that culture that we're a part of. And you know what? I think that makes things fun and interesting every day. You've got kids that have uncles and brothers and cousins and dads that played, and they didn't just play. Oh my goodness. They will take 30 minutes to tell you a story that was 3. It was 3 plays in a game. And boy, it just means the world to these guys. And I don't know, it just got me hyped up. And I was thinking the other day when we got this scheduled, I actually care more about Dee-Mack football than I think I've cared about any team and program that I've ever been a part of. And not that you don't always care about what you're doing, but I just feel so invested, and they've just welcomed me with open arms. And, I got to say thank you to you. You were a huge part of that. You were on the hiring committee as I came in, and for you to be able to hire an outsider, right? There's a lot of times people want to hire people that were in the program, and it's not to say there wasn't people deserving that are inside the program, but a lot of those guys work for me now, and they've been nothing but phenomenal. And we wouldn't be where we are if I didn't have some great assistant coaches.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's fun when you say about coming to a place that had that culture and rich tradition, but it's a double-edged sword too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, right? Like hey, we're glad you're here. We want you to be part of it. Oh, by the way, we expect you to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, right? So the last season I coached at my previous job was in 2019. So I get the job there. So it's the off season. It's early 2020, January, February. I'm doing the interview process, accepting the position, officially getting the position from the school board. And then at that point, you're looking 3 years before that. So still on everybody's Facebook memories, right? Still on everybody's YouTube, still right there, an easy click. Here's a picture. Here's a reminder of the state championship team.
Yeah.
Now I can't say that wasn't a motivator for me. I also say I dropped the ball on some things. Like I pulled up for the interview and I'm looking around and I thought, whoa, where am I? This is not a 1-2A school. This looks phenomenal. They just really care. And I didn't take it as it was over the top pressure from a sports culture. I just felt like the school was clean. Everyone was respectful. I remember staying and watching the kids like pass in the hallways a little bit as I was sitting in the lobby. And you're like, huh, this is what small schools should be about. They just take pride in everything they do. And I just felt I would fit in there. And then as time went on, it was like, okay, my second year, we made the playoffs, we made the second round. And I'm not saying people weren't thrilled, but there were just a few people that are close to me that were like, just so you know, that's nothing here though, right? Like they meant well.
Yeah. Well, you fell into a situation like a lot of coaches do, that your first year, you don't have coaches usually don't leave when picking is really good, right? They leave after the harvest, and we can't fault Job's a phenomenal guy, great, but right, you leave after you know the field's been picked clean, and small schools do that. They go up and down in talent. You came back in an area that it just wasn't as much talent that year, or they were all really young, and it was, I mean, they gave you 1 year of
we did not win a game that first year, right? And so
right.
I'm sitting there thinking, I know what we're doing will work, but Zach's there, somebody I think a lot of. He won a state championship at Arcola. He worked for Brett Caslett at Dunlap High School in Illinois. He's since done coaching and got out of education just for some family reasons. But I'm going to tell you, I just thought a lot of him. I mean, again, he had just won a state championship, and I'm talking to him, and he's very familiar. He coached at Dee-Mack before, and he says to me, it'll be 2 years, 24 months before you guys are successful at all. That's how long it takes to turn programs around. Not Dee-Mack in general. It's not about the kids we have. He's like, I'm just telling you from the experience and all the coaches out there, it's going to be 24 months. And I was doing the timeline, and we were in the midst of COVID, so we could get shut down at any time. And I'm like, oh, if we get shut down, I mean, it's going to be more than 24 months. This could be a problem. And then as time goes on, it was amazing to just feel the things that you were putting in place, that I was putting in place, that our school was buying into, that the kids were just so excited to work out again. Things just started to click. And that next group I had, I think we started 5-2 the next year and qualified for the playoffs fairly early, right? Well, then people were jacked up coming out of COVID, and now we're in the playoffs, and we've earned a home game. So we went 6-3 that year. And, you know, since then we've continued to try to build on the culture and the tradition. I'm not saying it was ever supposed to be easy, but everything's been a little tougher than we all thought it would be. That's life. And just, you know, hopefully for any of our kids listening, like, we've continued to fight all those battles, and everything and every game doesn't go the way you plan it to. But you know what? Other days do, but you've got to get out of those tough days to get to those good ones.
Yeah. Well, plus it's also cool to go, you know, you come and coach at a 2A school, and your home games that are basically a college facility feel, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and
to me, that is one of the most, I tell people that all the time, that's where I was. And I'm proud of the football and the program that they have here, but just what the facilities are.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Which is so surprising, right? Like, I'm not saying anything about our school district, because there's multiple school districts that have followed in suit that are not only in Central Illinois, but just in Illinois in general. And, you know, I think it's like big screen TVs used to be, right? Back in the day, those first big screen TVs came out, and boy, they were expensive. As time went on, heck, you could walk down Walmart and probably get you a 70, 80 inch TV for what you would have used to get, like maybe a 32-inch TV, right? So I think that's what's going on with maybe the facilities and some of the turf. And, you know, there's different companies selling turf now. And so, you know, for us to have a turf field, and they just upgraded, they did a video board outside at the football stadium, and they did one inside in the gym. And that wasn't just for football. I mean, the very first big event we used it for, we had a track and field sectional there, and they did live video, live results up there. They just did a really classy thing just with every single event we had. I know for graduation, they had live video of all the speakers and the band and everybody, the chorus. So, you know, just everything that they've taken pride in to have those facilities has been super cool.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that, and you and I were joking before we started here, but it's become, I think one of the things you've become known for is you do a phenomenal job of spearheading, because I know you have help, but spearheading, like, increasing facilities. And I know you've said it to me before, that you try to make the places that the kids come be somewhere that they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And And I think that wasn't who I was always going to be. Just to give you some background, like my school I was previously at is in Fulton County of Illinois, right? And so Fulton County is really not got any big cities in Fulton County. And so it is almost all farmland. And so everybody you're dealing with is a farmer. They're hard workers, but they're not city people necessarily. They don't get exposed to some of, like you're saying, college facilities. They'd be like, we don't even have any colleges here, right? We got a couple junior colleges, but we would have to travel to an hour or two to see some of the things that you're talking about seeing. I mean, I know it's an hour and 20 minutes just from Peoria to get to my home. And Peoria is the first big place that you get to. So when you're looking at it, when I first started there, it was like, hey, we've had this rusty weight room and we've had these gross locker rooms for years. That's the tradition here. Like, you better really want it if you're going to use these rusty weights. Imagine the superstars over the course of time that have used these rusty weights, that have set at these gross lockers. Like, and even worse, like talking to some of our coaches, it would be like, I'd be like, why is the fresh soft locker room so gross? Like, I can't even go potty over there, right? Like it's so bad over there. And they're like, well, they're the fresh soft. The varsity has to be nicer. I never said much. And then when I became in charge one day, I'm sitting there and I was like, we're not doing it like that anymore. Everyone gets nice stuff. Why would you have a certain place in your room or one vehicle or whatever? No, we're going to take pride in everything. So I want to be there too. We all want to be there. When I'm standing there, I want to feel like it matters. And if it really mattered, wouldn't we take better care of it? And they were like, yeah, you're right. So, I mean, they went above and beyond. Ryan Pearson, the coach before me at Canton, he started upgrading stuff and got me going. And his dad was a painter. And so we had some access to some different paint and different things. And he kind of gave us the rundown. Okay, this is what you're going to put on block. This is your best bet. This is going to stick longer. The kids aren't going to be graffiti this, right? Whatever it may be. And so we redid the weight room the year before I left. And we did like $110,000 weight room. We really went above and beyond. Those people rocked it out. They raised a ton of money for that. And that wasn't me. That was them. And I just got to be part of it. And they were basically just trying to give me the tools to work with our kids. And they did do that. But then when I got to Dee-Mack, I'm looking around and I was getting the same stuff. We just won a state championship with this weight room. I go in the locker room. It's literally a PE locker room, and it's got lockers in the middle of it. So the very first pregame I go to talk to the kids, and I'm expecting like, I don't know, like a movie scene. They're all going to sit in front of me, and I'm going to walk in, and I've got what I'm going to say. Right. And I've waited forever to have this super cool job.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
We're going to go out there on the turf. We're going to whip this team. And I walk in and there's nobody there. They're all like all over the locker room because it's a PE locker room and there's lockers running right down the middle. So I'm looking this way, looking that way, trying to walk around the other side. And the message I just was like, oh no, this is not good. Right. This is
and you had a whiteboard on wheels that you had to like push around,
yes,
right? So can you guys see this? I got to turn it so you guys can see what we're
absolutely.
doing.
And then you'd ask some of the linemen to come around the corner near the shower because that's where you could get the most view. And anyway, it was just really odd for me. And I thought after that first season, we didn't win a game. We were also warming up. We have superstar speakers in the gym and outside. I mean, they're too loud for my liking, but I get it for athletic events. We were warming up underneath the speakers. I mean, I had a headache that very first game, but I didn't know it was going to be that loud. And we leave the locker room, go down there and warm up. And it is so loud. And it was actually farther away because I was only like 2 years into the new field. It was actually farther away than I want to be closer to my locker room. I want to make the other team go far away. And right. So, after we didn't win a game that year, we changed a few things. And one of the main things after we changed which side we warmed up on was we went in that locker room and we just redesigned the entire thing. And I had a couple staff members like, hey, I think this is a waste of our money. We could buy like equipment, T-shirts, all sorts of stuff. I said, right, but I'm all about permanent. And I want to have pride. I don't have pride in here. It just feels like a PE. It feels like a guest locker room, right? When you go to another school and they're like, hey,
oh yeah,
you get the girls' PE locker room. And you're like, and you're like worried about your kids stealing their PE clothes or whatever, right? That's what I felt like we were. And, since then our staff has went above and beyond to fill in and just love upgrading. We went in on the weight room right after that project.
Yeah, I think the word that has to resonate there is pride, because I think you got to have pride in where you are. I think it bleeds out into everything else that you do. It's not all about, oh, we have to have the nice stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's, and I got, for those that are listening here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up some stuff. I've got a presentation. Cody's got some pictures here. If you're listening to this on a podcast, do yourself a favor and check out some of the pictures here we have. This is, he's got some before and after shots, and then just some shots. You're going to have to remember, Coach, and those that don't know Dee-Mack, we're talking about a school with what's the enrollment now for Dee-Mack?
Just a little under 300.
Yeah. So you won't find, so there's your before and after. And the thing that, what I always noticed whenever you started to develop the new weight room is the old pictures look, the word I get is institutional. It feels like, it felt like a little bit like you were, in the yard at the prison, very cinder block, like you said, old rusty weights. You'll see in that old picture, there's really not a lot of signage, almost none really. And then in your after pictures, just a lot of the signage. As a certified coach, I'm big on reminders and decide, you've got on the wall, dedication, integrity, heart, words that I'm sure mean something to you or the team, and able to, push that forward. This is a great picture here. I know you took that picture. It was a mess, right? I think you took that picture on your interview, didn't you?
So that was the very first time after. So I had been approved, and then I set up a time because I was still coaching track and field, and so I had 3 weeks, two and a half weeks to still coach track and field at my old job. So by the time I got done, I drove over one night, and Mitch Holmgren was the athletic director at the time that hired me with you, and he's like, "Hey, let's go on a visit." So this is as soon as school got out or after track and field practice. And this is where you get stuck with, well, we've always done it like this and we've been highly successful. And if you're me, you're like, well, I haven't really been that successful yet, but I can tell you what, if this is my classroom, it's not going to look like that per se, right? Not that it won't some days, but I got some ideas and I think the kids are going to like it. And you know what? I think it's going to make it easier on the custodial staff too, because they won't have to worry about stuff.
Yeah, it went from just a mess. Plus, I'll be honest, I used to go in there and work out. It was a little bit of a trip hazard, Coach. Just stuff everywhere, and
yeah,
I guess that was part of it. I just love the before and after pictures. This is some you got to, and what's awesome. It's spilled out of the weight room, and from the locker room into the gym, video boards. It's a place that's really cool to look at. This is probably, I think, my favorite thing. It's the entrance to the weight room there. And I'd like to know where you got this saying and where you got the idea for this. But if you're not watching, you're just listening. Big pointed or painted on the wall, it says, state champions have and will walk through these doors. And it is, I love that it pays homage to the past and the tradition, but then also what we're moving forward to.
Hey, big shout out to Sam Ingram, right? He's the cross country and the track and field coach for the boys. And he came up with a lot of this stuff. We had a couple phone conversations in COVID, and he was like, I kind of like what you're putting out there. He's like, I got a couple ideas. Let me do my magic, right? And I can take some pictures and take them into Photoshop and put up some quotes that I like. And he helped me choose that one.
It's fantastic. I don't know if everybody else likes it, but I really like that one. It kind of gives me chills about it knowing it. And of course I was around during the state championship and a part of that. So it's cool to see and see you build it. And also I like to, you're talking about a little bit of the success you're having on the field, but one of the things that I like to talk about post-COVID with 1A, 2A, maybe even 3A football, it's not just about making the playoffs. You have to actually even worry about fielding a team.
Yeah, absolutely. We just, it's funny you say that. So we were going to play a team week 9 this year, and I believe we found out the week before Christmas break, hey, they're going 8-man football. They can't field an 11-man team. They officially got accepted to go to 8-man football, which is a huge thing. There's all sorts of football out there, 6-man football, 8-man football, 11-man football, whatever, 12-man football. Well, now it's getting to the point where so many teams have been moving to 8-man. Now it's causing scheduling problems for those of us that never thought we would have to do it before. We've also seen, there's a lot of teams the last few years since COVID have just canceled their season.
Yeah.
It's sad.
What are your numbers since COVID?
We had 32 in COVID. We had a little bit more than that the next year. We were right under 40. And since then, we've hovered between 40 and 60. Last year and this next year, we're looking to have 62 to 64.
So it's growth since COVID.
It's growth since COVID. And I think, I'm speaking on what our staff has said, but we've built this a different way. The old school that maybe I felt I was going to be when I started to be a head coach is kind of just went out the window. And we have built this team and program back on, I'm looking around and they're quote unquote baseball guys or basketball guys or whoever it may be. They were never token football guys. And we just have gotten athletes and great kids. Those two things have meshed really well with our football guys, those guys that just grew up doing it, and that was their number one thing. And I think it's a change of guard. And now you have those kids saying, well, wait a second, I tried your sport. Why don't you come out for my sport? And so, now we're holding this picket fence along where you're going to hand it off from the fall to the winter to the spring. It's never going to be perfect. And, in this day and age, there's always a million things to go do. Kids are always going to pick and choose, but we have not had anybody ineligible that I can remember in the last 3 years. And that's another thing that I'm super proud of, that I feel like the kids want to be on the team and they're not looking for easy ways out.
After battling cancer and recovering from a stroke, I decided I wanted to change careers. I knew I wanted to help others thrive while living a life that aligned with my values. I realized that flourishing in life is a choice, and I wanted to help others do that through courageous actions. And luckily, I found Lark Song and became a certified coach. From certified professional coach training to cutting-edge well-being education and impactful workshops and community partnerships, Lark Song programs equip you with the skills and confidence to make a real difference in your life, your community, and beyond. But Lark Song isn't merely about education, and it isn't about changing careers necessarily. It's about transformation. It's about turning dreams into reality. Are you ready to accelerate your journey to a more fulfilled and flourishing life? Visit larksong.com today to learn more. A better future starts today. Yeah, no, I think it's noticeable, and I think your success, traditional success, like wins, will definitely follow. It follows numbers because you got to have players, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why you have to make it a place that kids want to be, right? And that goes beyond just a coat of paint too, right? I'm not to say that you get them out because we have really good facilities, but it's certainly part of it.
So here's a weird one, I'll add on that. When I first got there, they were like, excuse me, your main fundraiser is called a spring cleanup. You'll do odd jobs and rake yards and clean gutters, and people will give you donations. I was like, I mean, one, I don't know. I mean, how's that going to work? And like, what's the liability? And they're like, no. Like, you're not a business or anything. People will just give you donations because they won't want to rake their yard. They want to support the football team. And you won't have to sell ice cream or popcorn or cookies. I'm like, okay, you got me there. We'll try it. I mean, we made over $20,000 doing that last year. And I am telling you, we worked really hard. Like,
yeah, but you still made $20,000.
But we worked really hard, right? So the weight room upgrade was over $40,000 in between community members pitching in and other programs at the high school, including our athletic department, and then us raising that money. The Peoria Civic Center called us and said, hey, we'll give you a huge chunk of change, but you have to set up for this AAU volleyball tournament. Of course, our high school football players are like, oh, AAU volleyball tournament. Huh. Yeah, we'll be around. And so we took them over there. Well, little did they know nobody was going to be around.
Oh, no,
you're build 18 different volleyball courts. And then on Sunday night, they're going to go tear them down. And they made a really big chunk of change. And again, why I'm talking about those amounts of money is the fact that we told the kids, like, if we are going to upgrade the weight room, it's going to be something that you're involved in. So here's the price. If you want new benches, here's the price if you want new plates. Here's the all-inclusive price if you want the weight racks or the power racks with it. Are you available to help us raise this amount of money? Because the community, no offense to any community, there are tons of people out there that don't want to spend their weekends raking their yard or cleaning their gutters. It's worth it to them that they could just give the kids $50 and they could climb up there and do it quicker than all of us could. They could pick the sticks up in the yard, and we like to say, hey, when you guys are done with the job, get out of here. So it was just interesting that those kids help raise the money for the upgrades, which is different than most places, right? That I have been anyway. It was like, okay, these kids are directly involved in it.
Yeah, it's that sense of pride. It means a whole lot more when you put the work in to raise the money to get those things. They're your things, right?
Yeah.
But what I love is your football team is doing so much of that, but it is not just a football program or a football weight room. Like, you're the strength and conditioning. And I know that you, like, as much as any football coach / strength and conditioning coach that I know, it is a school-wide facility. And I know that I love to see you invest in all the kids, girls and boys sports.
No, it's been an interesting climb. I remember when I first started, there were a couple of my football players at my old school, and they were awesome football players. We got along really well, but they were open with me. They're like, man, you don't spend much time with the football kids this hour. You're just with everybody else. You're with the freshmen. You're with the girls athletes. You're with the cross-country runners. Like, why aren't you paying attention to us? We're over here, like, squatting the entire squat rack. I said, you have to realize we have to build buy-in through those guys. Like, you guys are junior and senior football players. You know what to do. But when these other people have never been in the weight room, they're scared, they're intimidated, they're worried about it. And I need to be near, and I need to be over there reassuring them, hey, you're fine. Hey, you can do more. Hey, you should do less. Try this form, try that form. And, 5 years into this situation at Dee-Mack, that was something that got me in the interview, because I was interviewing you guys as much as you were interviewing me, just to make sure that the class I was going to teach was going to work out. And a couple of things that stuck out to me is Mitch Holmgren said, he was the athletic director, Coach, I don't know what we have to do, but my goal would be not to win a state championship in one sport, but to win a regional in every one of them and have a shot. He's like, I want everybody to be successful here. What can we do? And so we sat around, and at the time, he's the head basketball coach. I'm the head football coach. It was, well, why don't we have all of our boys work out together in the summer, and we'll tell the girls, we'll help them, and all the girls can work out together. Well, that was great, because once school started up, now we mix those two groups together. Now we have boys and girls training every day. We went from 2 classes in that weight room for what we call athletic PE, and now I am full-time in there. I have 7 classes that are bursting at the seams still, and we only have 300 students.
Yeah, right. And I know that you said that. You've told me that you used to be that, like, football needs to work out before or after school as a team, and now it's everybody together. It's getting bigger, faster, stronger. We had, and this is not wrong. Mary Lanier was awesome. She helped hire me, and she called me down one day, my very first year, and said,
hey, me and Coach Holmgren just want to meet with you. We want to go over some things. What are you doing for PE uniforms for athletic PE? I said, well, they're still going to wear the red PE shorts that everybody probably hates. They're the cheap mesh shorts that everybody in the world's wore. I said, but for our class, we won't just wear like a gray T-shirt with a name box on it. I want to look around that room and I want to see somebody in a band shirt over there, somebody in a cross country shirt over there, somebody in a football shirt, somebody in a volleyball shirt, somebody in a track and field shirt, somebody in a Scholastic Bowl shirt. I want to see all those people at different racks working together, sharing equipment, rooting each other on, hyping each other up, high-fiving each other over PRs. Like, I want them to see that they're not necessarily all from the same background, even though they all are pretty similar because they're from the same school district and a rural school district. You can work just as hard as the cross country kid or maybe the basketball players working with the volleyball player. And, through that, I think it has just fostered a better relationship. I don't see as many nervous student athletes. I feel like it's a pretty accepted place. And you know what? I have people all the time, hey, coach, can I try that next semester? It actually looks like a lot of fun. And they'll name drop kids that I, in my head, didn't even know we're having that much fun, but they're recruiting their friends to come in there.
All to do the athletic PE versus getting to go to the gym and play games, right?
Yeah. And the other option is, and I'm not saying you don't have fitness tests and things that might be difficult, but in my opinion, there's a lot of times as a kid, I would have much rather played pickleball, badminton, dodgeball than ever go in and do another workout. It's like, sometimes it just feels like such a grind, but your health is so important and people don't realize that. But, as time goes on, they're going to be able to keep themselves alive longer. And then when they go to the gym, at some point, they're going to need to schedule time to work out, whether they have a home gym, whether they go to the gym, they stop there after work, before work, maybe on their lunch break. But you want to be able to use the equipment. The last thing you want to do is also then have to pay someone to show you then how to use the equipment. So they're getting a head start on some of the life lessons that they're going to get. And, they can get a workout buddy, tell their workout buddy, hey, Matt, you're going to go with me today and we're going to do this. And I can show you exactly what to do and feel safe about it.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a life skill and they can, and like you said, and be able to feel comfortable in a gym, because it's daunting sometimes, for some kids.
Well, and things can be so intimidating when you have freshmen with seniors. I think nobody really understands that. You can think of what it was like in your head, but that's the first time in their lives those freshmen were with kids 4 years older with them than them the same day, right? That same hour. It's not like they just walked by the gym and those people were in the same school as them. They are sitting in that same class and might be lifting right next to that person or sharing some of the same weights. And so it's intimidating for a senior to have to work with a freshman because, oh man, I'm only as strong as this freshman. But what about those freshmen that are around those seniors? It's the same way. So, everybody's just got to realize we've all got things and we've got to work together and we're all in here to get better. And that's what a real gym would be like. If you get into a gym and you go to Gold's Gym, there's going to be people from all over the place working out, and that'll help you fit in there too.
Yeah. So you were talking about high-fiving PRs and stuff. And I love that idea because if you go into the weight room now in there, like, how many different things do you track for PRs?
I'm telling you, just like with everything, it just grows and grows. And the very first thing that would happen was I unveil, like, this is the workout that I plan on doing with the kids. I've found the most success with it. I've modeled it after 2 or 3 people, like you would model your coaching style or your playbook. I've modeled it after 2 or 3 people I think do a phenomenal job. I think it's the easiest for us to do. I think it's going to work out best with the schedule we have. We don't have blocks, so we see the kids every day for 50 minutes. Well, then now we have, after like 2 weeks, hey, coach, can we add incline? Well, we will. Like, maybe I'll swap it out for that muscle group with something else. But, I haven't taught you guys that yet. And so you start going through and you're like, hey, if you want to put something in, we got to take something out. We only have so much time. But tracking isn't that way, and kids don't understand that. So we came up with things that we valued. We came up with 11 different PRs, right? So it's like bench press, deadlift, power clean, squat, bench reps. So girls were at 65 pounds. Boys were at 135 pounds. All right, now we're going to track your 40 time. We're going to track your flying 10 miles per hour. We're going to track your vertical jump. We're going to track your broad jump. Okay, well, that's not enough. So what else can we come up with? Well, now let's try to come up with what are prizes you can earn in the weight room. And Daryl Crouch at Washington High School had a really cool idea. He'd been doing it for years. Super successful, Hall of Fame football coach in Illinois. He had teams that made the playoffs sign a brick on the wall, but only if you made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, that's interesting. So they get to write on the wall permanently. He's like, oh, they love it, right? Like, their whole lives, don't write on the bathroom, don't do this, no, go ahead, sign your name on the wall. And his big thing was like, you don't want to be that team that walks your kid back in there years from now and say, well, Coach Thomann, didn't you graduate in 2024? Where's your number? So I'm sitting there during COVID and I'm thinking, the things that I value the most, so the things Daryl Crouch valued the most was a lot of things, but one of the things was he wanted his program to make the playoffs. So he put it on the wall. Like, here it is every single day. Like you talked about reminders. Is that not the ultimate reminder?
Yeah,
oh my goodness gracious. I want to be a reminder. So then I started thinking, okay, let's do the power clean. That was really big for us. So we made a power clean wall and it cost us nothing. We just used some paint on the wall. We had somebody use a projector right up there. And then I got a white Sharpie pen. Boom, you sign your name on the wall. Well, of course, everything has to have a t-shirt. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The Army recruiter comes, it's a t-shirt. You go to a college visit, it's a t-shirt. Everything's a t-shirt. You go play in a tournament, it's a t-shirt. So we got a t-shirt for it. Well, then now social media started to blow up. So now it's like, okay, we got to have a graphic for that. Okay, now we got TVs in the weight room. Not only does it have timers on the TVs, but when nobody's in there, it's displaying these social media posts. And they're just scrolling through. And I'm like, our kids love it. I had 3 kids make different miles per hour for bag tags. We have little bag tags that go on there for sprint miles per hour. 2 of the 3, when I got done taking the picture, can I see that picture? Sure. I mean, it's a picture of you. Well, I just want to make sure I look good. Because they know it's going to be displayed everywhere and people are going to see it. That's the old school way, Coach Thomann, was back in the day, your grandma would call. Hey, Cody, I saw you in the newspaper. I'm like, oh, thanks, Grandma. I'd get over there and it'd be like, yeah, Cody Myers, 0 for 3 from the field, 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter. And you're like, Grandma, we lost by 30. Why did you save that? And she's like, oh, I thought it was great. You were in the paper. I'm like,
right?
No. And so, kids don't have, there was good ones too. My grandma was.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean? I mean, it was just because your name was in the paper. It didn't matter what it was about. It was like, oh my gosh, though, Matt, your picture was in there and you're getting dunked on. You're like, oh, this is great. So,
it's that positive. You have to have that positive recognition piece. You have to have it. I was talking to some other coaches that I've talked to about it is if you are having your kids be recognized by their coach or by their strength coach, and they're getting recognized, but on the wall or social media, it lessens so many of the problems that we associate with kids not wanting to play in a sport, parents even getting upset, things like that. Like if they see that the kid is progressing and being recognized for it, it's not everything that everybody wants, because everybody always wants to play, right? But it's positive recognition and signs of growth, and that will help helps kids stay in the program. It helps less parent complaints. Kids enjoy being there. It's so much of it, Coach.
Well, think about, and I still remember when you could put your phone, this was back, I had like a Motorola Razr forever ago, but they were the cool phone way back in the day before iPhones. And it would vibrate if you got a text message. And it didn't take long. This is the first time we all had phones and really had like texting and apps. And you're like, I think I felt my phone vibrate. You'd look and there'd be nothing there. It became a thing. You're pulling your phone out all the time, looking at it. So then, over the course of time, now people are getting bullied through social media. And there's been a lot of bad that social media has been a part of and still will be. Just like with anything else, there's going to be people are going to take it and then use it for the worst, right? So then I started to think, what if a couple notifications today were your people commenting, great job, Matt. wow, what a beautiful lift. What hard work. You're like, huh. And working out releases endorphins and it makes you feel good. But now that is 2 of the notifications you're going to get. So if the other 4 are your friends sending you a mean message or picking on you or just goofing around with you, but it's, it's not necessarily a positive interaction. It's just, maybe it's your Minecraft game sending you a message. Hey, you want to play me? Whatever it may be. Well, what if a few of those were your high school coach chiming in? Wow, what a great job today. Keep it up, superstar. I just thought it was such a amazing tool. And for those kids who are never going to get to be tagged in, oh, look at this interview with Lane Thomann, or look at this podcast I was tagged in. Well, guess what? Now they just got tagged in their first social media post and it was a positive. And now these sports outlets can see some of that stuff. And, those guys do a great job. I know our Central Illinois guys are phenomenal at just the guys and girls going out and picking the stories on these kids. But now these kids feel like they earned it a little bit, and they have. And it's just cool to see that entire process.
It is, because I think that the main idea around social media with kids and sports is like, oh, it's just terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. It's so negative. It's all that. And that exists. And I don't think we're going to get rid of that. But you're saying, why can't we use that for positive as well? At least it's going to be there. So why not even up the score a little bit? Right. And I love that. I love that idea, that dose of positivity. Have them. Yeah, you're right. Get a message and have it be something that is like, this is a good thing.
And,
right?
You might be going through a tough time in your first relationship or whatever they got going on, right? And you see that. I see that all the time. And they got some weird stuff like, these kids like might have their first pet die. Dude, that's terrible. I've been through it. It's so bad. And you only really lose your first pet once, and that was your childhood dog. And like, you still have a football game tomorrow, though.
Yeah.
And so, like, okay, we've had kids' grandparents pass away. They've never even had to go to a funeral. And they're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Coach, I don't know what to do, right? And you're managing through that. So now they're getting notifications for those type of things, right, that are bad, per se. And then maybe you could be a positive in their life. And, oh, coach tagged me in something. Oh, wow, my day's not over. I don't need to go crawl under my bed. I did something today. I did something positive, and somebody will be proud of me for that. And so I like the feel.
I do too. It's a good deal. So we're about out of time here. So last question. What did I not ask you that I should have? What did I miss?
You know what? I don't think you missed anything. I just love watching your podcast. I think you do a phenomenal job. It's just a joy to be on here and just to be part of what you've done. I will say, you've raised a couple great kids. You've been part of our district before and just done a phenomenal job. And I look forward to continuing that.
I appreciate that, Coach. It means the world. I'm so glad you came on. I love catching up with you and just showcasing what you've built there and with the help there, and just that what you've continued in that district. And I wish you continued success, and I'm sure you'll have it, Coach. So
I appreciate
thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
all
I
right.
appreciate it. Thanks,
appreciate
Coach.
It. What could you achieve if you had unshakable confidence? At Mental Mettle Coaching, I work with athletes, coaches, and professionals who are up for a challenge and ready to unlock their full potential. We offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, inspire your team, or thrive in your career, we'll give you the tools to face adversity head on and grow through every challenge. Don't wait to start living your life with confidence. Check the show notes for my contact information, and let's forge your mettle together. Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient, persistent, and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Thomann, at Mental Mettle Coaching. So, speaking of gratitude, you can tell it. You can hear it in Cody's voice. He's thankful for the program, the situation that he's in, and his ability to be able to change these things and to influence kids. And that's what I love about his positivity is, like, there are, especially when he was talking about the part about social media and the phones and how kids are always on their phones and social media. And most of the time when you talk to coaches, that is like this huge source of complaint, like, oh, kids today on the phones doing this and it's such a bad thing and blah blah blah, and everybody loves to complain about that, and I get it. It can be a problem, and you always wonder. I've always got, I always talk to people. It's a fun, little conversation thing. Like if you had a button that could and you could make it so the internet never existed, right? Those of us that are older, like, hey, would it be better if we didn't have it versus have it now? Like there's so many good, but then there's also so bad, with the social media and things like that for kids. And it's like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? But most of the time when we sit around and with coaches and adults and talking about youth sports, we just really, really talk about how bad this thing is for kids. And I love how Cody leaned into it and said, hey, it's going to be there. It's existing. Why wouldn't I use it? Why wouldn't I leverage it? And he does such a great job. My pictures in that interview really don't do it justice. The walls of where the kids that sign, and I follow him on all the social media, and it's just it's every day. A kid's writing something on the wall, getting a T-shirt, seeing the post with their name and seeing a personal record that they got, and it's just great to see. And he's always upgrading the facilities, and then, like he said, he's also doing things to make sure that kids are invested in raising money to upgrade the facility, so it becomes their facility, not just the place they come to play football or basketball or baseball or volleyball, whatever. It's their facility. They've raised money for it, and they become part of it. Becomes part of them. They're part of it. There's a place that they're very proud to come back to, which is what you're trying to do on build, and it's so useful for building a culture, building a program. And I see the growth in that. I see the seeds that Cody is planting, and he's got a lot of help down there. But the seeds that they're planting, I know it's going to bear fruit because they're doing it the right way. They're leaning into kids, and yeah, it's fun to see. If you've never been down and see the facilities, go catch a game. They'd appreciate it. It's pretty cool. And man, if you're really interested into how to upgrade your facility, your weight room, and some of this stuff, I'll put Cody's information in the show notes. Coaches, I know he would love to talk to you about it. He's got a lot of ideas from other people, and he's always really good at sharing those ideas. So if you ever have any questions about that, you can always reach out to Cody. He'd love to hear it, I'm sure. So now that we've got through this, remember, go back and check my episode a couple weeks ago on the monthly Mettle Challenge, practicing gratitude. I'd love to have you join the next episode. 1st of February is going to be my next wellness tactic that I'm going to practice for another month, and I'm going to want you to join in with me on that. So I just thank you. Well, practicing gratitude in the last episode of January, my gratitude, one of the things that I need to continue to be thankful for as a podcaster. You always are looking at what your numbers are doing, and you always want to increasing your numbers, and you're trying to get more reach and have more people hear your message. But I need to stop and be really thankful and show a lot of gratitude to everybody that has come on my show, everybody that continues to listen, everybody who likes, comments, shares, subscribes, all those things. It means a lot to me when I get these notifications that somebody's commenting, talking about my show, sharing my show to somebody. I love those things. So I'm just thankful for that. Practice some gratitude. I'm definitely going to be, now that I'm thinking about it, that's something I'm going to write in my journal tonight, is about I'm thankful for everybody that's listening, paying attention to the show, because I love doing it and I appreciate it. So that's been, we're out of time. That's the end of the episode. So this has been the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann, and always remember to forge your metal.
Thanks for listening to the Mental Mettle Podcast. Don't forget to tune in every week for more insights and strategies to help you forge mental toughness and resilience. This podcast is brought to you by Mental Mettle Coaching, where we are driven by a passion for sharing knowledge and experience that empowers others to play, live, and grow with confidence. Our mission is to instill a resilient and spirited mindset in our clients, enabling them to confidently face adversity and actively seek new challenges for personal growth. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're an athlete, educator, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential and thrive in every area of life. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, and always remember to forge your metal.